Dexter says that the perfect car eating food is a pulled pork sandwich, though.
That's wrong.
That is crazy. That is such a messy
That's
thing.
the craziest thing he does on the show.
Honestly, that's such a messy thing to eat.
That's how
when
Dokes
you're like
knew.
Sitting. Hello, welcome to Guides to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
It has to happen again. It will happen again and again.
And again.
And I'm her little brother, William.
That's right. And we are talking about season 1 of Dexter. We are going to talk about the arc of the ice truck killer.
Yeah. Boy, let's just get right into it. Your history with Dexter.
Will, you and I watched this like when it was out-ish. I think that we binged the first handful of episodes because we hadn't caught it like right from the beginning.
Okay.
And then you don't remember this? And then
No.
And then we, got to watch the end of it, I think, like in real time.
Okay. I was
and enjoyed it.
I remember being very, very fond of this show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was very silly at the same time.
Yeah.
But man, this show was popular. So we're talking
Absolutely.
about a series from 2006, almost 20 years ago, about Dexter Morgan, who is a blood spatter analyst for the Miami Police Department by day. And by night, and really secretly all the time, he's also a crazed serial killer with a code.
Of course, the Code of Harry.
The Code of Harry, his adoptive father, who he only kills other killers.
Right.
He's almost
taking out the trash.
Yeah, but the mask is slipping.
He talks like this. That's why we're doing that.
His internal monologue is like the main character of the show.
Yeah.
At one point, he brings in donuts to the police department because he's got to hide in plain sight, you see. So he's got to be completely like average Joe so nobody suspects anything. He's like, hey, Douglas, I brought a sprinkled Frosty for you. Just like whatever people say.
Right.
And
like
then
that.
when people take all the donuts, it's so embarrassing to me still.
It's rough.
They do a long push-in on the empty box of donuts, and Dexter's inner monologue goes, empty inside, just like me.
No, boy, he's always underlining this emptiness that he says he has. And the deal is his dad, Harry, was a cop. So he's kind of like inherited this job to a degree, but also because he's a killer, he loves blood, you see.
Yep.
And the whole thing is that Dexter is different, everybody. He's different from everybody. He has no feelings.
Yeah, is it clear?
Yeah, right. And Harry saw this in him, and instead of turning him in or something, he decided that we are going to sort of like hone this and take it in a direction that will not get Dexter caught,
right,
and also has kind of a morality to it.
Yes, he becomes almost like a vigilante.
Right.
If you kill a bunch of killers, you're actually cleaning up the streets while you're satisfying your own dark passenger, as he calls his serial killer urges.
Yes.
So it should be checking every box. I don't know why anybody would be upset or why there's any call for all this drama.
No, of course, except that he's killing people and it's illegal.
It's illegal. And so he's constantly having to hide his stuff from his sister Deb, who's also a cop, and the other people on the force.
Yeah.
But season 1, we'll see, as you mentioned, the ice truck killer. In sort of classic pulp serial killer novel format, like we've got an episodic kind of format of like various crimes and C-plots and stuff, but one big bad.
Yep.
Who's got an MO that is so unique that we've got to riddle it out over the course of 12 episodes, and it's going to shake Dexter down to his very core.
Right.
And I really love that format. It's why we're doing it on the show, really, I think, is there's a lot of, in a thrillers are by and large, part horror.
Yeah.
And it's also fun. We recently did the CSI arc about the miniature killer. I love a fictional killer with a wacky MO.
Love
a
it.
larger-than-life modus operandi.
Totally. That was episode 349, if anybody's interested in going and checking that out.
Wonderful.
So similar to that episode, we're going to be spoiling the hell out of Dexter season 1. We're going to be talking about it all throughout the course of this episode. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you might want to skip this episode and come back to it after you watch Dexter.
Yep. It's all on Netflix as of right now. And of course, we're doing this because a new spin-off is coming.
Yeah.
This Sunday, they're doing a prequel series called Dexter.
I think it's Friday.
Oh, is it Friday?
Yeah, it's the
Friday,
13th.
Friday the 13th, the very day this episode drops then.
Correct. So yeah, it's called Dexter Original Sin, and it's going to be on Paramount Plus with Showtime plan.
Confusing.
I know.
I mean, how clear and easy to find.
Of course, we're not like sponsored by it or anything.
No.
It's not on like just Showtime. It has to be on Paramount Plus with the Showtime plan.
And yet the original series is on Netflix.
But everything was on
catastrophe.
Showtime.
No, I know. Yeah,
it's all weird.
It's a mess. It's an absolute mess, just like Dexter.
Yes, that's true. And not just in the bloody way.
I know.
In Dexter as a whole series.
As a concept.
Well, yes, but as a whole series, like I can be fine with like as a concept being a mess and just being like, all right, like you can just or at least I can just disregard things that are like what, but can just enjoy and like ride on vibes. The series as a whole, I would say, is mostly bad.
Yes.
Like I mostly didn't enjoy it, even though I watched all of it.
Yes.
By the end of it, I would say that it sucked. Like I mostly kept watching it because I wanted to know what was going to happen. I actually don't even know if today, the version of me today would have kept watching Dexter. It seems like something that I would have jumped ship on.
Listen,
in today's world.
For me, I not that anybody else would view it this way. I famously broke my own code.
That's right. You did break your code.
I did. I broke Willie's code.
Yeah.
I am, if nothing, I'm a completionist. If I like something, I will follow it through to the bitter end.
Yeah.
I bounced on Dexter.
That's right.
Just over the halfway mark of the show. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I can see the end coming, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
The show is declining. And was it really that great to begin with? We'll discuss. But I remember feeling completely vindicated.
Peaceful.
By the original finale of the show, when people were like, well, that sucked.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I haven't been watching this thing for years, and it's been great. I've been blissfully unaware of what's going on in darling dorky Dexter's world.
Yeah. And by the way, we well, I guess we haven't kept we've kept using alliteration before we started recording. The show Dexter is based on a series of books that all have alliterative titles.
Yes.
So that's why all the darkly dorky Dexter references.
The original novel was Darkly Dreaming Dexter, released in 2004, written by Jeff Lindsay, and I'll have some stuff to say about him and his opinion of the show that came out of his work. Beautiful. But let's really get into it.
Yep.
I want to talk about Dexter as a fictional serial killer. I like his MO stuff, at least for a topic of conversation. Obviously, the ice truck killer himself, and a lot of the world sort of dancing around Dexter. But we'll get all into that after this commercial break.
Okay. So, Will, as a whole, what did you think of watching this first season? Did you enjoy yourself? Like net positive, net negative, net neutral?
Quite positive.
Yeah, me too. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time watching this.
Almost surprised by how much I enjoyed rewatching the show.
Actually, I wasn't. Now that I say it, I wasn't surprised. I was like, oh, that's right. I think the first season of this is good. This should be fun.
Yeah, I guess I'm not. Yeah, I guess I can't pretend I'm completely shocked. I did like the show for quite a while.
Yeah,
I just in my memory, it's so much worse. You know what I mean?
It gets really bad.
Yeah. But no, I really enjoyed it. Allie and I watched it together, and it really did feel like enjoying a pulpy crime novel together.
Yeah.
Which was very, very fun. We Allie and I have a habit of we'll watch old 90s thrillers and stuff, and it sort of fit right into that vein. Totally enjoyable. The cat and mouse stuff of Dexter and the ice truck killer is really, really fun. Even though I by and large knew every twist and turn that was coming, I still ended up it held up to a rewatch. It was completely fun, albeit very, very dorky.
Yeah, it's extremely corny. Even with it being good, Ryan and I also watched it together. We also watch a lot of these things. I said before, I really like thrillers. I really like procedural things like this, and Ryan and I watch a lot of stuff like that together. It's corny. Some of the acting is not good. There are elements of it that really stick out as what is this? It's a strange show. And I'm not even saying strange as in it's strange, but it works. There are elements of it that are this is weird. It's surprising that it is. And by the way, I'm saying all this with it still being a net very positive for me. Watching it now, this came out before really the biggest boom of prestige TV and everything. It's surprising to me that this was an Emmy Award winning series. Now with the Emmy Award winning series that we've seen since, and like how quality that they are, looking back and being like, wow, Dexter was like on the award scene, and watching it is kind of surprising. It's fun and good, but it doesn't feel like it should have. I shouldn't say should have, but it's surprising to me that it was like out there like that.
Does it deserve all the same respect of a Breaking Bad?
I don't think it had all the same respect as a Breaking Bad. Like, I don't think it was quite at that level.
Okay.
But it wasn't like crazy far away from it.
Yeah.
And seeing it through the lens of other things now, that's kind of surprising to me.
Yeah. They confusingly, I feel like the show tries to have like a lot of comedy. Like,
or like heart sometimes. Like there'll just kind of be like subplots where I'm like,
the subplots are terrible.
I don't need this. Like, I don't need like sort of emotional guitar music while LaGuerta is connecting with a little boy for like way too much of an episode.
Yes. Well, this is like also the shame is like the show's called Dexter. We're all here because Dexter's a serial killer and he is very impressed with himself.
And Michael C. Hall is so compelling.
He is. He's very fun to watch.
I could watch him all day long. He's
staring
great.
at those lips.
Whoa.
His lips, which are like light pink. I'm so confused looking at his
lips.
face. Yeah.
Okay.
I like him. This is not to
I do too.
insult the fella.
The lips.
Yeah.
I would say they are light pink, but then also light sometimes and also pink sometimes. And here's what I think is happening.
Yes, please. Makeup check.
First of all, I think because it's in Miami, they were giving him spray tans. And then in comparison, his lips were looking quite light. So then I think with makeup, they'd be doing like a tinted balm, but that's going to wear off. Yeah. So then when the tinted balm wears off, you're left with just a light lip. So in some scenes, the tinted balm is there. His lips are looking real pink. In some scenes, they're just looking real light because the balm has worn off and they haven't gone in for a little...
It's distracting.
It really is.
I was like a lip reader watching this show. I was just focused on those flappers.
This is something that I thought about throughout the entire series, those lips.
Yeah, really wild stuff. Yeah. But every other supporting character, they're there for a reason. These are working performers. Some of them are very talented. But like giving every one of them a subplot is a necessity. Right? Like you can't just have everyone show up and 99%
just be
of the shows
serving Dexter.
Exactly. Like let's take a stab at fleshing out Angel Batista, Dexter's friend detective. And then you learn all about how Angel's going through a sad divorce.
I would be fine leaving Angel's subplot at him asking Dexter for advice about the presents, and then maybe just finding out briefly that he's trying to win his wife back and leaving it there.
I don't even... this is like the thing, like, it's...
We don't need him dancing with people and then going home to his wife. Like, just leave it as a little thing.
I really just don't care about anybody else's subplot except for Dexter.
Same.
It just is because they've got a 12-episode season.
Totally.
And it can't literally be 100% about Dexter all the time, even though that's really all I care about.
It probably could be for me. Even though that's not the way that things are done.
Right.
I would probably be genuinely satisfied if it was just Dexter.
Yeah, actually, going back to Breaking Bad, I don't remember a lot of subplots of, like, them just like finding somebody that, it's
a good question. I don't know.
That Walter White worked with, and then you learn that like, like they're
like what's going on with them.
They're getting fired, or they're on the path to a nice promotion. Yeah. You spend like 15 minutes on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of LaGuerta's like job politics with that one guy.
Yes, yeah. I just don't care at all.
I know.
But Dexter himself is so interesting, and the show starts very strong. Yes. I would say with like. I think that, like, you know what? Miami itself is really sort of a character.
Wow.
If you think about it that way.
What an original thought. For the setting of a place to be a character itself. William, I think you've got something here.
I actually, I'm going to go back on that. I don't think that Miami itself is a character. I think that...
But it's a good setting.
It's a fine setting. I am irritated by the clothes. I do not like Dexter wearing what are these things, like tweed pants?
It's definitely not tweed.
What are they?
I think you're thinking of maybe twill. Tweed is like a very heavy fabric.
It's heavy? No, I'm thinking what's very, 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 very light. It's like his pants were knit by a grandma. It's like he's wearing doily pants.
That also wouldn't be right. I think like linen. Things like that.
Yeah, I don't want to see Dexter,
to tell you, this
floating around in his linens.
This is also not my style preference. I'm partially laughing because I totally agree. This is not for me. All these flowy, bright fabrics.
My God. I feel so uncomfortable seeing his pants billow in the wind. Yeah.
And what are those shoes called? I can't remember. But remember when Chandler wears wicker shoes?
Yes, wicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all wear wicker clothes.
Yeah.
And he's wearing like Hawaiian shirts and shit. Everything about Dexter, like... What the real secret character of the show that like makes it all work is the score.
It's so good. I think I either texted you that or I wrote it down. The music is so good.
The music is like kind of dreamy and dark and very mysterious. It really, really pulls you in.
Yes,
and then they'll
very
smash. Very grounding.
But then
they'll smash to like some like upbeat like rumba beat, and it's Dexter walking around in like a Hawaiian shirt, and I'm like, I gotta
say he's never wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
Well, what is it? He's got these
It's just
shirts.
a flowy button down. I don't know what you would call it, but he's never wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
I always felt that I don't know if SNL ever did a parody of Dexter, but I always felt like
it was ripe for parody.
I always felt like it was like you could easily dial the knob of him trying to seem normal way too far and have him like slide into the police station wearing, wearing a big, colorful Hawaiian shirt and being like, who farted? Like really just trying, like a beer helmet. Just like, I'm like all of you, right? Right. But then when he really does, when you get his dark passenger monologues
then
with
he's
that
in
spooky
his Henley
music.
He has like a superhero uniform. Yeah.
And that almost always works for me.
Oh, totally.
To a T.
It's great.
His goofball monologues about how donuts are as empty as him by day are contrasted so well by him at night being like, they don't know that I'm coming.
Right, with like moody piano music behind him.
I've been studying for weeks. Even the silly stuff. The code of Harry means that I can't leave anything to chance.
But it's fun.
And I'm pulled into being like, he's a madman who is such a tidy, neat monster, he'll call himself, that it ends up being really fun to be like, who's he got his eye on? And oh my God, he's focusing on the choir leader. Like all these choir boys are singing, but the guy who's like running the show or whatever is the first kill of the series.
And that's Alison DeLaurentis' father from Pretty Little Liars, her piss-drinking father.
Piss drinking?
Not actually.
What?
He's always like, he's got a little piss drinking face.
That's not a phrase.
That's what they say on Bros Watch PLL too.
Piss drinking father. Jesus Christ. Dexter, when he is being serial killer man.
Yeah.
Is so imposing and scary at times.
Yes.
His introduction is the hardest I think he ever goes on the show.
I think so too.
And I almost wonder if people are like, hey, this is so messed up. I think we need to dial this back.
I kind of think so too. He's yelling in that guy's face and stuff. He's not like that later.
He does this awesome thing where he'll pull the killers that he's going to now murder into a kill room that's like covered with plastic sheeting so he can clean it all up 100%. But he also likes to make a little museum to show the serial killer what they did that ended them up, in Dexter's, kill room. And so for this first kill, he dug up the bodies of children that this guy had previously killed. That is so disturbing.
Yes.
Like they just pan over like 3 corpses on the ground. He's like, took a while to get him cleaned up.
Yeah, like
boss.
He cleaned them up.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
And then he screams in his face, look at what you did. So,
he really rubs his nose in it.
He really does. So I have thoughts about how I think they try to make Dexter palatable as a serial killer and how it works. And well, I get it works, but I don't know. I think that there are some things to it that, like, if you think about it, starts to fall apart. So like you said, right, he's a neat monster. And I think that they try to make everything kind of clinical, both for practical purposes. Like, yeah, he's not going to get caught because everything is so clean, so sterile. He knows how to make sure that there isn't evidence left and everything.
Yeah.
But then that also takes away some of the grossness and like sickness of serial killers. Like, he's not like playing around with the bodies of people who he's killing. He's not like interacting with them in really like playing with his food sicko ways. He ties them to a table. He takes a literal scalpel. Like he's got like a doctor's table set up.
Yeah.
Takes a scalpel. His one like picadillo is that he keeps a blood a blood slide of each person. Even that is very clean. It's like inoffensive.
I love that.
It's awesome, but it's all presented as very like clinical. So yes, Dexter is a killer, but he's not like a gross sicko killer.
No, of
he's
course
a killer
not. Of
with
course
not. So then we can like accept him or whatever.
We have to be able to like him and
exactly.
root for him.
One thing that I think an area where this sort of like it falls apart a little bit or it's a little confusing is him getting them naked, because there's not a lot of reason for that except for he likes it. So one area where I was thinking about this was I was like, okay, so maybe he's getting them naked, and a way that you could explain that is that he's taking their clothes off, he's putting them in a specific area so that if they're searching his kill room place, then they're not going to find fibers from this dude's pants in this kill room. He's got it all squared away, and you don't have to worry about that. But then they show his very first kill ever, which was this nurse who was attending to Harry, his father, when Harry was in the hospital.
Yeah, this was a big coincidence.
Yeah, this worked out. But he kills her in her own home and yet still gets her naked. So, by the way, this is all just me making up in my head. It's not we know.
I'm fascinated by this. You're right.
It's not that we know that he's taking their clothes off so that their trace evidence isn't in the place. But
you're trying to make sense of a thing that is otherwise unexplained, and I hadn't considered it. It's completely unnecessary to make them nude.
Yeah. So, like, I think the real answer is that it's a creepy image.
Yes, they're exposed.
Nudity is titillating on TV. They want to give.
Well, there's not much exposed nudity. Everything is wrapped in plastic to a point where the plastic becomes opaque. But I think it also makes.
Think for TV purposes, it's giving the audience a little something. I think it's a
Maybe.
little. I do think cynically, I think that is for the audience. It's a little perverse.
Yeah. Okay. I guess. Yeah. I think you're right about that. But yeah. Sorry.
No, that's okay. But so if it's in her home, like, why'd you get her naked?
Yeah.
It's just because Dexter wants to get them naked.
Yes, and that's not explored. There's a quality of Dexter that. See if you agree with me on this. We've talked a lot about Saw and Jigsaw's all of his rules. His perspective on himself, and like I've never killed it. What? I'm not a killer. It's like insists that he's on the up and up.
Right.
Dexter does the exact same thing. These two, Jigsaw and Dexter, are both very navel gazy, very egotistical, and
they feel very justified,
arrogant monsters with consciences in some sense, and like no one really, for my money, has ever challenged either one of them to a satisfactory degree and been like, but why would you do this then if you're so up and up? And I think what you're bringing up of the nudity is exactly one of those things that like I wish that somebody would be like, why do you do it this way? And I know that they spend, and now we've got these new shows that are coming out that are going to go even further to constantly spin their wheels on how special and unique Dexter is and why does he do what he does. But no one ever asks the real questions that I'm curious about, where it's just like, but Dexter, like, you're not doing a good thing at all. And here's this one weird idiosyncrasy of your process that serves no purpose.
Right. So that's just because you like it. That's just satisfying something in you.
Acknowledge that you like this.
Right.
And you just want to.
Right. Totally.
Like Sydney says, there is no one else to blame.
Exactly.
Right.
That's totally true. The only other thing I could think of that could be like a logical reason, quote unquote, for him doing that is that it could be cleaner cuts. Because you're not cutting through clothes then or something.
He's usually still cutting straight through the plastic over their chest.
Totally. I thought that too. He goes right through the chest. Right. So I think it's just he's got a little thing about it. Maybe he's got a thing about undressing them, whatever. So it's really not that he's not such a sicko and that it's just whatever. He's still a sicko, but he likes to pretend that he's not.
Yes.
In a way.
While also constantly being like, I'm a monster.
Totally. Yes.
I'm a monster and a creep.
Yeah.
He just like the navel gazing of this stuff is so crazy.
So let's talk
almost like every 2 sentences him being like,
I'm different.
I'm so fascinating. I'm so unique and cool.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the code of Harry.
Ooh, yeah.
And all that.
Okay, yeah.
And how that has made him who he is. I think old Harry did Dexter no favors.
Yeah.
By nurturing and reinforcing this whole, like, yes, you are different, Dex.
Yeah. Harry is Dr. Loomis from Halloween.
Okay.
Being like, there's no light behind his eyes. He's purely and simply evil.
Yeah.
It's like, well, aren't you an educated professional in your field who should hopefully see more of a spectrum of things than just saying that somebody is abjectly, incurably bad?
Yeah.
Both Sam Loomis and Harry Morgan, cop Harry Morgan, who's adopted now this kid.
Right.
And is like, no, he's evil and he's a serial killer. He's on the path to only be a serial killer.
And that's the end of that. So I must help him be a serial killer, but in the safest way possible.
Yes, he will kill, but for good. And you get the show this season. I looked at this up because I know that eventually Harry starts appearing as like a force ghost in front of Dexter. He'll be like, Dex, what are you doing? When Dexter's, like at work and picks up a knife.
Right.
But he's not a force ghost in this. Like, he's only in flashbacks in season 1. And in all those flashbacks, first of all, Michael C. Hall plays his younger self.
Oh my God.
Via a series of perfect wigs.
Holy shit.
Long-haired wigs.
Incredible. What a choice.
Hilarious.
Because he's so clearly, like, I don't know, late 30s, 40?
Yeah.
And he's playing a teenager? Come on.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But so in those flashbacks, even when he's a young kid, Harry's being like, Dex, what did I tell you? You're broken. It's like,
hell?
What?
And also, I'm no expert by any stretch, but kids are malleable.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's baked in that he's evil. So certainly, like, the first indication of this is Harry found out that Dex killed a dog or something like that.
Yeah.
And that there have been other animals that he killed. Not good, obviously.
No.
But do you just then decide, okay, this is the way we're going and we're going to keep going? Or do you try to get him help and steer away from things like that? What an insane choice. And to keep reinforcing the negative thoughts that Dexter has about himself. Because Dexter doesn't like that he did that.
No.
He confesses it to his father. He feels bad about it. But his father's like, so you're different, Dex. And we're just going to have to find a way to not control that, because that implies
make it worse.
Yeah, basically. It's so crazy.
It's completely crazy, which is also fine for a story.
Yes, of course.
Because obviously it's not real, but also Harry doesn't need to be infallible.
Yeah.
Except the show constantly reinforces that he's kind of infallible.
Yeah.
And they portray it as if he really didn't have any alternative.
Yes.
Like later seasons, I believe, will start to unravel the lore of Harry. But never, again, they
not
never...
this aspect of it.
Yeah, they'll never ask the pertinent question. They'll be like, well, Harry had been sleeping with some of his informants, so he wasn't so perfect after all. But they'll never be like, didn't Harry know better than to do what he did to you, Dexter? They never ask that.
I don't even know if you know this because you didn't keep watching it. So spoilers for
it doesn't mean I don't know everything.
Of course, I know. You may not remember this. Spoilers for the whole series of Dexter, actually, in general, in this show.
Yeah.
Pausing
deal with it.
Briefly.
Go back, go watch 8 seasons of Dexter, then watch Dexter New Blood, the 1 season
that I don't know anything
follow-up.
about.
Then get ready for Dexter Original Sin coming out the day this episode drops, and get ready for Dexter Resurrection, the sequel series coming at some point in the future.
Next year.
And then Dexter Who's the Boss, and then Dexter Does Dallas. All these series, they're all coming. Every one of them. There's a spin-off for the Trinity Killer being planned.
Really?
Yes. Everything.
Yeah.
Dexter will be everything.
It's gonna be
everywhere you
Dexter-mania.
look.
Okay, so listen.
Watch it all.
Later on, Dexter goes to a psychologist who, it turns out, helped Harry develop the code.
Yeah.
So a professional.
Yeah. Yes.
Consulted with Harry on this code. It's insane.
Here's how you would do it. Here's how you would turn a child into a perfect killing machine, Harry.
What?
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Dexter is as much a victim.
Yeah, no, he is a victim.
He's
like,
a
if you
victim
think
of
about
all
him
this
as a
stuff.
little child, because I think the thing with the dog killing happened, he must have been maybe 10.
Well, what would you do in real life? I can't pretend to know what you would do in real life if there's a kid that you find is hurting animals.
That.
You don't jump to it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to always have a thirst for killing, and you must harness it.
And say, well, you're different, Dexter. You're different from everybody. You have to remember that you're different, and you have to learn how to fake it.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to fake being normal.
Because I'm telling you right now, you don't have feelings, and you can't do it for real.
It's terrible.
Don't forget, buddy, you're fucked up. Merry Christmas, Dex. It's like, oh my God, Dad?
It's so terrible. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Look, perhaps...
Which is fascinating to explore, but the show never explores it.
That's the thing.
That's the complaint. That if the show had any awareness of what's the most compelling thing about this situation, I'd be on board with it all.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
They will continue to pretend... By and large, maybe they do a few little like speaking out of the side of their mouth things to satisfy people like us, but they never explore that Harry was part of the problem.
The only thing they explore as it pertains to Harry is that he lied about some things, but it's not having to do with the code. It's like details of their lives and that he like cheated on their mom or something.
Exactly.
Oh God, I think I lost what. Oh no, I know what I was gonna say. Look, it may very well be that Dexter is that way or would be that way.
Yes.
But let that unfold naturally rather than you constantly telling him and reinforcing it. Like try to give him help, see if you can steer him in a healthier way. And if that's not happening, then you need to adapt with that in whatever way that is. But don't just automatically be like, nope, you are broken and that's the end of it.
Well, and challenge the thesis.
Yeah. Right.
And it may then be reinforced.
Certainly.
But it'll be even stronger by going through that challenge process. I need to see Dexter's worldview of himself and Harry's essentially like reinforcement of Dexter's issues really be challenged, and the show just never ever did that. And that's all I would really want out of it. So I did the same thing. I remember feeling like, at least now they've done these sort of prequels, which are doing the Dexter thing of making Jigsaw seem somehow benevolent.
Right.
But like, I remember, Jigsaw dies in one of the movies, and I was like, he just died without anyone ever really challenging him.
Yeah, like examining this or like causing
forcing him to examine himself. Yeah, he got away with it all by the end. It's just like...
Yeah. So he had a happy ending.
Overall unsatisfying to me.
Yeah.
From a story perspective.
Yeah, totally.
Even if I love the wacky serial killer hijinks, which obviously we've got to get into.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know what? Maybe we should take a little commercial break and then come back and talk about the ice truck killer.
Yes.
We haven't even touched on that.
I know. It's time to talk about the ice truck killer.
Yeah.
But first, we've got to remind you all about patreon.com/GTTUpod, which is the lifeblood of our little show. Helps keep the lights on, and it keeps the party going.
You could say that we're born in blood.
Born in the dark. In the safety of our dark commode.
That's right.
The Netherworld Dispatch is an entirely second podcast that we do exclusive to patreon.com/GTTUpod. There are a number of different tiers that we've got set up. The top tier is our demon tier. It gets you access to the Netherworld Dispatch every single Monday. On the Netherworld Dispatch, we do a bunch of things we can't really do or get away with on Guide to the Unknown, which is really fun. Case in point, we just played 3 Blair Witch video games from the year 2000. Yep. The good, the bad, and the stupid of it all. A lot of lore that nobody would anticipate the games having. Like, they show what happened to Heather after the events of the first movie.
Yeah, there's a ton of story in these.
Yes.
And when we play them, we're like describing what's happening, so you can just totally listen to it like a podcast. It's no big deal.
Yeah, but there's a video version if you want to see stuff too. And we pulled like the best Easter eggs and lore bits and stuff. And some nerdy little things where like you can put a coin on a table and a waitress at a diner will turn into a stripper and dance in front of you. That's canon.
Yeah, that's part of the Blair Witch Project.
Part of the Blair Witch franchise. Absolute insanity. Patreon.com/GTTUpod.
Yep. You also get ad-free episodes of this show when you join our $4 tier or higher. You get access to our Discord. We have all sorts of movie commentaries over there. It's worth poking around over there because we also have a shop where you can order what we call a jump scare. It's our version of Cameo. You can gift people what's it called? Patreon subscriptions. And yeah, all kinds of stuff over there. And we so appreciate everybody who supports us through Patreon. It seems like people really like it. And we're thrilled with the little community over there. So thank you so much. We hope you join us if you haven't already.
We also like to read reviews. I've got a doozy of a review from Mommy's Board. Titled So Much Fun.
Cool.
Will and Kristen are so smart and funny. I wrote this myself, by the way.
Oh, good.
The topics are all interesting and all the stuff I love. I only wish Kristen had a podcast about Bravo shows too.
Oh my God.
Careful what you...
I know. Look.
What would you call it?
Certainly could. Oh, I don't even know.
Bravissimo.
It's a great name.
I have been on Patreon for years with them, and it's worth every penny. Thanks for the hours of entertainment and laughs. 5 stars.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so nice. I do love Bravo. I'm glad that you enjoy it when I interject Bravo stuff or make William do whole episodes about Bravo.
You got to defeat me in a game to get it to happen again. We should do that on soon. We haven't competed against
true.
each other. We'll do that.
I always lose.
I know.
God damn it.
I love it.
Damn it. Well, anyway, thank you. Thank you for the review.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody who leaves us reviews. If you haven't before, we would love it if you did. We so appreciate it, and we read them on the show.
Yes.
So yeah, wherever you listen, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we would love that. So thank you so much.
Actually, if I could shout out a special mission for our listeners, I would love to see if we could increase the number of stars that we have on our Spotify. So if you can go over to Spotify, over there you don't write a review, you just give us a review of like 1 to 5 stars. Boom. If you could improve our star rating, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
A little side quest for all of you. And thank you very much to anybody who does or has done it in the past.
Thank you.
All right. The time has come to talk about the ice truck. I'm lying to you.
Almost.
I'm lying to you. I'm sorry, everybody.
Just like a sick little killer.
I know. I'm just a little sick piggy. We have one more commercial break.
Ew.
Okay. All right. Now.
Let's talk about the ice truck killer.
The ice truck killer is what makes this entire season sort of
sing.
Tick. Yeah, sing. Becomes a symphony of sickness.
That's right.
Symphony of murder.
Yeah.
Dexter's called to a crime scene. He's the blood spatter guy. But Dex, no blood.
Yeah, he's like, whoa.
He starts to get like lightheaded.
What is this?
No blood. Yeah. Turns out that there's some sicko serial killer guy who's killing women, cutting them into pieces, but all the body parts are found at these crime scenes, like arranged in like a little tableau.
Yep.
And there's no blood to be found anywhere. There's no blood in the body parts themselves. 100% drained of blood. And Dexter is like blown away by that.
Yeah, how can this be?
And enter the ice truck killer, who's now going to leave several bodies around the city.
Yep. So known because they realized that these bodies had to have been refrigerated. They had to have been, I don't remember how they figured this out, but like he has to be transporting them while they're refrigerated. So how would you do that? It's with an ice truck.
It's with an ice truck.
Yeah.
Great name. The ice truck killer. That is so like thriller cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Dexter then one night he's driving around Miami and he sees an ice truck.
Yeah.
And just gets, a wild hair to sort of follow it.
Yeah, because what if?
And they end up coming face to face on a dead end bridge, and the ice truck killer drives past Dexter's car and throws something onto the windshield, and it's a severed head.
Yeah. Whoa.
It's so... all of this stuff, all of like the real meat and potatoes cat and mouse serial killer plot is so like pitch perfect, heightened reality crazy. I love it.
Yeah,
it's so
great.
much fun to watch.
Totally. It's delightful.
And you want, when you've got a character like Dexter, he's, as much as he's a crazed killer, for the purposes of our show, he's also the lead detective in a sense. And you want Sherlock Holmes to have some sort of a villain that is his equal.
Right. You want him to have some sort of Moriarty out there.
A real challenge.
Yeah.
And the ice truck killer turns out to be exactly that. We've already said that we're going to spoil everything, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and say it now.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know why we keep dancing around it. It turns out, over the course of the season, we'll discover, when Dexter was a child, he saw his mother being killed with a chainsaw in front of him in a shipping container.
Yep.
And he was then locked in that container with her for 3 days before Harry Morgan saved him.
Born in blood.
Born in blood. That's what he says is the origin of his dark passenger.
Right.
But it turns out if you just nudge the camera a little bit to the left, there's another kid in there with him.
Biney,
his older brother.
whose name is Brian.
Brian.
But apparently when Dexter was a little kid, he called him Biney.
And the ice truck killer.
Threw me for quite a loop when the show originally aired.
I know. You really...
I don't know. Biney is very annoying to me.
The
name Biney is annoying to me.
I know, but it's about a 3-year-old who can't pronounce his older brother's name.
Yes, I know. I'm not saying I'm right.
I am going to admit something to you now. I almost cried at the end of this show. I found one element of it to be so sad. In like kind of like a sweet way, and it's about them as kids.
Yeah.
But so essentially Dexter's older brother Brian didn't get to be adopted by a cop who had a code and tried to rein in his dark passenger,
and
as they say.
By the way, what the hell?
Why? Oh, I know. It's crazy. This too, really, I know.
What is wrong with Harry? So the thing is that Harry, Dexter's dad, arrived to this crime scene, came in, saw Dexter and all the blood, scooped him up and left and adopted him, and left the other kid?
Yes.
What is wrong with him?
Yes. But still is portrayed as hero.
That's
dad
terrible.
Harry. It's terrible. They said that Brian was older and therefore he was already too broken.
Right.
So just throw him into the system.
Which is hypothesizing on Brian's part, but also I don't know what else it is.
No, it appears to be exactly what happened.
Well, how do we know that? I mean, I don't know what else it would be.
Yeah,
but like that's what he says.
Fair enough.
You know.
Well, maybe we'll see some of this explored in Dexter: Original Sin,
perhaps,
which is the prequel.
Maybe.
Seriously, maybe
true.
Brian Moser, the ice truck killer, maybe he's in the show.
That's true. I didn't think about that. That could be.
Who knows? Or maybe we'll delve more into Harry. Christian Slater now plays him. Maybe we'll see more of his darkness.
I love Christian Slater.
Fallibility. Yeah.
What good casting.
I'm unconvinced of the show. I bet it'll be fun, but
I think it looks good.
I think it looks. The trailers look really fun, but I mean, I don't know how it's really going to hand off to this show or honor. Dexter filled in so much of the past already. Like they show his first kill, they show all these murders. Are they going to redo his first killer with this new younger actor?
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're just going to refilm. It's like a remake.
I bet not. I don't know.
It's like a remake plus.
Why would they redo that first one? But I don't know. Like,
how can you not dramatize his first kill on a show about him becoming a killer? They're going to have to just redo it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
And it won't look the same. He won't be Michael C. Hall in his
weird wig.
Mid-40s wearing a long hair wig.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it looks really fun, at least from the trailer, and that's really all I need it to be.
It's
like,
true. Yeah,
I don't really care.
Fair enough. But I know, I don't really care either. But like, I was curious. I like the scaffolding of a story. I like to see how these things should hopefully complement each other, but I'm not sure how they can.
Right.
Anyway, so it turns out the ice truck killer has been tracking Dexter, trying to get back to reunite with his little brother for all this time, and realize that Dexter is like him. He likes to kill too. Maybe the two of us could be
killers together.
And Dexter has this adopted sister, Deb. So from Brian's perspective, that's your fake sister. She's your fake family.
Right.
Let's kill her together so you can break this stupid code of yours. And then we can go off into the sunset and be serial killer bros together.
Right.
And I feel like that's a very compelling...
It totally is.
It's an offer on the table to Dexter, who for so long has thought that he was so special and unique. To find out that there are two of him, essentially, is world shaking.
Oh, totally.
This is a totally... Like, again, I feel like it's like perfect little scenario for a story.
Awesome. And also within that, before he gets to find that out or anything, the ice truck killer, who he doesn't know is his brother, is like engaging him and playing a little game in all these ways. So he throws a head at his windshield, sure, which could have interrupted him if Dexter was mid-eat, because he loves to eat in his car.
True, you're right.
I also love to eat in my car. What does that say about me?
Kristen.
Do I have a dark passenger, and is it often a snack? Yes, it is.
Kristen, why won't you let me get to know you? Keep me at arm's length.
Dexter says that...
You don't tell me about your medical issues at all.
Dexter says that the perfect car eating food is a pulled pork sandwich, though.
That's wrong.
That is crazy. That is such a messy
That's
thing.
the craziest thing he does on the show.
Honestly, that's such a messy thing to eat.
That's how
when
Dokes
you're like
knew.
Sitting. Sitting at a table, a pulled pork sandwich is hard to eat.
Yeah.
To eat that's insane.
No.
But so anyway, he throws the head or whatever. But also, Dexter comes home one day and there is a Barbie head on his freezer.
This is cool.
The ice truck killer made a little magnet of a Barbie head, and he's like, oh my God, he's engaging me. So then he opens the freezer and there's a Barbie that's all chopped up, just like the ice truck killer's previous corpse. So he's like, oh my God, we're playing a game or whatever. And, it's, then it's on. And so they keep having just these little like back and forths, and it's great.
The iconography of this show is wonderful. That chopped up Barbie, the blood slides all in a row in his little blood slide box, his trophies. And then all of a sudden the ice truck killer starts leaving little messages for Dexter, like putting a squiggly smiley face.
Yes.
To reveal that all the bodies are being left at places that were of personal significance to Dexter growing up. Mm-hmm. And it's just like every little visual icon.
Yeah.
They all... They're all
cool.
They're cool.
They're appealing.
Spooky cool.
Yeah. Even the ice truck killer will... he paints the fingernails of victims all a different color for each nail, and it turns out that that's because their mom did that with her nails. So that's also like a little clue to Dexter, because he doesn't realize that Dexter doesn't remember that.
Yeah, Dexter has no memory of his past. Yeah.
So from Brian the ice truck killer's perspective, that's like a big Easter egg to Dexter.
Yeah, right.
But Dexter doesn't know that. But it's just like, it's cool to
and it
look
lets
at.
These things hide in plain sight to the rest of the cops because it's so personal.
So appealing. I love that kind of thing.
Excellent.
Yes.
So let me.
Dexter is being very risky with that Barbie head, by the way. He ends up putting that on his keychain. Are you nuts?
Dexter would be caught 10 ways to Sunday.
Absolutely. This guy is so reckless.
In the real world. At one point, a kid
Dokes has his number. I know,
Dokes.
Yeah.
Surprise, motherfucker.
I didn't realize that happened in this season.
Yeah.
I was thinking that happened in season 2 because Dokes is this other detective on the forks. The forks. I was thinking about eating in the car. That is usually crossing the line for me, is utensils.
Yeah.
But anyway, Dokes is another cop on the force. And in the first episode, Dexter is like a whole, department full of cops, and somehow Dokes is the only one who gets the creeps from me. And Dokes is on his case the whole first
way.
season.
I'm watching you, freak.
Yeah, totally. He is like, there's something wrong with them.
He's right.
And he's totally right. And at the end of the first season, Dokes is following his instincts, and he can tell that there is some sort of connection between Dexter and the ice truck killer. He doesn't know what it is, but he's like, there's something going on that's not just Dexter investigating this. Like, something is up. And he follows Dexter to the yard with shipping containers and stuff, because Dexter has gotten a clue from the ice truck killer that's where
this is the container that our mother was killed in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by this point, the ice truck killer has gotten engaged to Deb.
Yes, because in real life, he's pretending to be some guy named Rudy who does prosthetic work, which is great.
Yes.
That's a great hiding in plain sight job for a guy who dismembers people, as he makes prosthetics.
And boy, he must have gotten good at it. Like, it seems like he's a very respected prosthetics doctor.
He also killed somebody to take their name and job, though.
No, I know, but I think he's like done it while.
I guess so. Yeah.
I guess he could just be lying. Yeah, he could just be lying. Remember,
I assume he's lying about everything.
Yeah.
He's way messier than
I guess
he
I
appears to be.
assumed that he must have actually done some of it while he was there, because it seems like he's been in the community for a little while. But
true. Yeah.
I guess I don't know.
Who knows?
But anyway, he ends up getting engaged to Dexter's sister Deb, and then he kidnaps her to like lure Dexter to him so they can do the killing thing that Will just talked about. And Dexter's like going to find him, and it's at the shipping container place. And Dokes pops out of nowhere, and he's like, "Surprise, motherfucker!" And it's
great.
Good.
It's great. And it doesn't go anywhere at all. Like
because like security guards for the shipping yard come out.
Like, what are you two stinkers doing here in my yard?
But like,
get out of here!
It seems like it's coming to a head.
It should, yeah. Well, whatever.
And it will.
So let me tell you the thing that almost made me cry.
Oh yeah.
Dexter ends up confronting his brother at their childhood home that Dexter has really no memory of, except as he's walking in. It's like The Shining.
Yeah.
He starts getting these flashes of like remembering running in through the yard, and so it's dramatized in front of him that young Dexter like runs past grown-up Dexter and goes to hide behind a tree because he's playing hide and seek with Biney. And then at one point Dexter's walking through the house, and he's just getting like these like phantom memories of things. And I remember at the time being like, come on, and like rolling my eyes at this. This hit me in a weird way this time. I'm not even fully sure what it is. He opens a door to, I think, what would have been a playroom or something.
Yeah.
And he sees the young version of himself and Brian like on the ground playing with toys and stuff. And memory Dexter, little boy 3-year-old Dexter, looks up and impossibly sees his adult self. and just goes, hi. Mm-hmm. And Dexter was like, hi. There's something just so interesting about that, like, and I know it's maybe a little overwrought, but like the broken adult guy seeing what might have been a version of himself before it all went wrong.
Yeah.
And like, this is like, there's no going back. There's no
Right.
fixing anything.
Right.
This kid is dead, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's just like a shadow of what could have been. But then weirdly, the memory of him, he goes, look out!
Yeah.
Because adult Brian's sneaking up behind Dexter to like attack him.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like a weird subconscious thing too, of like, did adult Dexter hear the sound of something almost imperceptibly behind him? And then in his like psychotic, shining ghost version of himself, the little boy version of him was warning him, you're being attacked from behind.
Right.
I'm not like sure what that moment is, but for whatever reason, it put like a lump in my throat for a moment. Or just like, there's like something that's just so tragic about this kid who then grows up and gets like twisted into Monster Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that is tragic. It's sad.
Did anything make you cry?
No. No, not this time.
That pulled pork sandwich.
Look, I told you that one really threw me for a loop, though. It didn't make me cry, but I was just like, what are you talking about? Because also it was a comparison to a banana. He was like, this is good, but a pulled pork sandwich is the ultimate. And I was like, I hate bananas, but that's clearly such a more sensible car food.
Yeah.
It has like a handle.
Yeah, it has a handle.
What are you
it points toward
talking
your
about?
face, unless
Yeah.
you're holding it the wrong way.
That's true.
And then you need to sort of crane your face around to get at it.
It's true. It's just, it didn't make sense to me.
If you hold a banana like a gun, it's harder to eat, is what I'm saying.
Definitely.
Now, the show will end with Dexter having to decide between Deb and the ice truck killer, and obviously he chooses Deb.
Yeah.
Maybe he is trying to prove that he's different from the ice truck killer or whatever. And even though he feels this sort of draw to his brother, who he didn't know existed until now, he does say, like, you're still a monster and you need to be put down.
Yeah.
And so he will kill the ice truck killer.
Yeah.
And make it look like a suicide, essentially, to get away with it, which is fun. That's a fun conclusion.
Yeah.
It's a suitable conclusion.
It's neat.
It's emotionally destructive to Dexter, who's like kills his brother and then like basically like collapses
goes into
in the corner.
Yeah.
But the real way the show ends is with Dexter and Deb showing up at just whatever the next crime scene is.
Yeah.
And Dexter imagining, and this I think is also fascinating and I wish that they would explore.
Yes.
And they never do. Him being like, I can never tell people how cool I am, but if they did, perhaps they'd hold a parade.
They would love it. And yeah, he envisions people like on either side of him as he walks through the crime scene being like, good job, Dex. Yeah, way to take out the trash. And like,
when you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. There's like all these big guys that are like, we like what you do.
Yeah. And like, what's it called? Like a plane with a banner that's like, thank you, Dexter.
Confetti and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, it ends with the fun, dark music, and he looks right in the camera, smiling.
Here's the thing. In that final episode, he doesn't make it all the way right into the camera, which is annoying.
Oh, you're right. He's sort of glancing blows.
He almost gets there.
Fades. Just
because
disappears.
we didn't mention, not in every episode, but in many episodes, he looks right into the camera at the end, which is weird. It's strange to me that you wouldn't do it in every episode or none. It's weird that just every once in a while he'll be like, and I do want to play. I want to play a lot. And look in the camera, and then other ones just end normal.
Me want murder now.
It's strange.
Can I has murder?
And then of all episodes, the final one, for him to just almost get there, but then it fades out before he gets all the way there. I was like, what?
You're right. It's very weird. That is very, very weird. But are we perhaps his dark passenger? We're the ones who I want him to kill.
But how would that relate to him not making it?
Oh, I don't know. It's just embarrassing.
Yeah.
The best take they had.
I honestly think it's that.
Yeah.
I think that just for some reason it didn't connect and they were just like, oh shit. Well, we can't like hold the whole parade again.
I know. This is going to cost thousands. Got to clean up all this confetti. Right. God damn it, Michael C. Hall.
We just got to use this one.
What did I tell you, you dingbat?
C. Hall.
Look into the lens. But they never explored that, like his grandiosity, his delusion that he would be exalted.
And also the fact that he even thinks that way shows he does have feelings.
Oh, he certainly does have feelings.
He says, it's very doth protest too much. He says a lot like, I'm empty like this donut box.
Yes.
I yada, yada, yada. But like, you know, he'll say, if I had feelings for anyone, they would be for Deb. So you're clearly feeling something and you're pretending that you don't. You like
confront yourself.
You like the idea of people appreciating what you do. So you like something. Like you have these feelings and you can't handle the idea that you have them.
Yes.
Because you had it ground into you since you were 10 years old that you have no feelings.
Yeah, that
so
you're
now,
empty.
Yeah, now it's too hard to admit to yourself that you do because it makes you vulnerable in a way that you're not used to being vulnerable. You're used to being vulnerable in the sense that you could get caught for murdering,
right?
But not in an emotional connection sense.
Yeah, it's very unsatisfying for all of that.
It's weird.
Did you look at the book at all?
No.
I have some errant sort of like things to share with you. Mm-hmm. Although before I do that, I do also want to call out that one of the many subplots is that a kid sees Dexter kill, and the entire episode is like, oh my God, he's going to give a description to a police sketch artist.
Yes.
This could be it. This could be Dexter getting turned in, because when there's a drawing of Dexter as the killer, what's he going to say about it?
Yeah.
And at the very end of the episode, he finally looks at the drawing, and it's of Jesus Christ.
Oh, boy.
It's a drawing of Jesus of Nazareth.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
what are we saying here?
This isn't going to help anything. No. If Dexter didn't already love himself too much,
I know.
Him seeing that he's Jesus to this kid, he's a genuine savior.
I know.
This is insane. It's the show overstepping.
Absolutely. What do we mean?
Greatly.
Actually, before we probably wrap up with you talking about the book, because it's the source material, I do have just a couple of stray things I would like to point out.
Please.
Okay. So, Dexter is on some sort of directory for, what's it called? The chemical that he uses to inject into people to make them pass out. And the name that he uses, to be incognito on the registry for this is Dr. Patrick Bateman. And he thinks this is helping him fly under the radar. And his voiceover says, Dr. Patrick Bateman, so wholesome, so inconspicuous. Yeah, okay.
He says that out loud?
No. The voiceover.
No, I know.
In his head.
But like, I don't even remember that at all.
Yes. Yeah, because he's like, I have to take this away. But it was such a good cover. So wholesome.
What a
so
horrible cover.
It's a terrible cover.
My name is Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, right. Like, it's really not very inconspicuous.
You can call me Norman Bates.
Right. I think I remember when we saw this, we were like, whoa. There's a little, during kind of like a subplot part where Angel, Masuka, and Dexter are at a club. Masuka is dancing and romancing with a lady, and she goes away for a minute by saying, I gotta take a squirt.
Oh my God.
And then Masuka makes out with her before she goes to the bathroom. Ew.
What is up with Masuka?
He's a freak.
Boy, I'm glad he's
That's
in the
what's up
prequel
with
series.
Masuka. That guy's giggle was perfect, though.
It was a perfect giggle in the trailer, you're right.
Yeah. When Rudy, the ice truck killer, Brian, is preparing his last bundle of body parts, he sings to himself, deck the halls with parts of bodies.
He does? That's great.
Because he's going to put them under a Christmas tree.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And one of the elves who is working at this Christmas tree thing was in Seinfeld. She's one of the little people who was with, what's his name?
Mickey.
Yeah, Mickey. Yeah.
Yep.
She went out with Mickey. And also, Brian/Rudy is such a dork. I know that Deb is very in love with him and that he's like, trying to be extra suave and everything because he's trying to get closer to Deb. And when he lures her to a yacht because he wants to propose to her or whatever. And Deb sees the yacht. It's like all lit up with like twinkle lights and stuff. And she sees it and she goes, F me. And she had said that she can only stop by briefly because she had to get back to work on the ice truck killer case. And he goes, I believe your rule specifically prohibits such action. What a dork.
What?
She says, F me.
Oh.
And he goes, I believe your rule specifically prohibits such action.
Yes, he is. He also says at some point, he's like, I've got something that you could use. She goes, what? And he goes, my two loving arms or something. I was like, oh
There's
my
something
God.
else I didn't write down.
This is how.
And I like because I've seen this first season a few times, but not in years. So there were some of these, like I remembered I got to take a squirt when it happened. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some rough lines.
The show, what the show should do, because Dexter is able to sort of like almost like psychically pick up on who's a killer sometimes. So he's like me.
Yeah.
It should be that all these people who are hiding in plain sight are always nerds.
Yeah.
Like losers.
Yeah.
They should all be quoting Anchorman. You know what I mean? Like, stay classy. Oh my God.
He's like
me. Anchorman came out decades ago. Still quoting it. Tropic Thunder is still important to him. He's different.
Oh, God.
It's just terrible. Hiding in plain sight by wearing shirts from Spencer Gifts and stuff, you know?
Right, and using Dr. Patrick Bateman. And the last one I want to point out, which I also kind of remembered, was that Dexter says of Brian when he's pursuing him, "My devil danced with his demon and the fiddler's tune is far from over." I was like, whoa.
Holy shit.
What a mouthful.
Whoa. like made me high.
There are some lines in this thing.
That line was like a drug.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. No, I wrote down a couple of lines as well.
Whew.
Oh God, it was like, got it. He goes, "My sister puts up a front so the world won't see how vulnerable she is. Me, I put up a front so the world won't see how vulnerable I'm not."
Okay.
Like, hey, pal. We've known since minute 2.
Yeah.
We get it. You don't have feelings. So, I took a look at the book.
Great.
Darkly Dreaming Dexter. It only came out 2 years earlier, written by Jeff Lindsay. And I listened to the audiobook of it, which I hoped Michael C. Hall would read. It's Jeff Lindsay himself reading it. Okay. He does a fine job. It is confusing. Almost all of the book is presented from Dexter's subjective monologue.
Okay.
And up until like the last chapter, he thinks he himself is the ice truck killer.
What? Wow. Okay.
It is messy.
You know what? Actually, I saw a Reddit post where somebody was like, it was actually funny. They were watching Dexter for the first time. It was like a couple of years ago, and they were updating the post as they kept watching it. And they thought at one point that the ice truck killer was like an alter ego of Dexter's that they didn't realize.
Oh, interesting.
And they hadn't read the book or anything. So.
The book plays with that up until like the very last minute. Dexter's looking at security footage of the killer, and he's like, "That's me.
It's me.
It's me."
Huh, okay.
It's too much. The book is quite messy.
Okay.
For my taste, which is fine. But I also know that in future novels, they will start to say outright that the dark passenger of Dexter's is a literal demon.
Yes.
It's literally supernatural.
Yes.
And
I knew this.
The dark passenger will leave him, and he's normal until it returns to him.
Yeah.
What? But I also found an AMA because I was like, where does Dexter come from? What is this? So Jeff Lindsay did an AMA about just over a decade ago, in which all he said, they were like, where'd you get the idea for Dexter? And he goes, watching a group of businessmen eat lunch. It occurred to me that serial murder wasn't always a bad thing. And I was like, all right, well, so that's a joke about businessmen eating lunch and you want to kill them all. It's like, what's the real answer though? Yeah, right. And he didn't elaborate, but then somebody else is like, where'd you get the idea for Dexter?
He wasn't joking.
And he goes, I answered that up above.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't kidding.
What? Oh, okay.
Maybe he has his own dark passenger.
Interesting. He also, ironically, doesn't like the show.
Oh.
And went ahead
Surprising that he said that.
Yes.
Yeah.
He said that they never got the sense of humor that's important in the books.
Okay.
What? And he said, I personally don't take any TV show over a book, except maybe NFL. He prefers the show, National Football League, above the novel. The football novels.
I got to tell you, if that's the kind of humor.
Those football novels.
If that's the kind of humor that's present in the Dexter books, I'm not impressed.
Spoiler alert, it is. Then somebody said, you worked as a consultant on the first season of Dexter. I'm curious as to why you did not continue consulting for the show. His response, A, didn't want to. B, neither did they. C, I cost too much. Without me, they could afford 2 caterers.
Oh boy, okay. All right.
The books and the show veer after this first story. This, essentially, season 1 is an adaptation of Darkly Dreaming Dexter.
Yeah.
But then all the novels go in a completely different direction, and the show goes in a completely different direction of its own.
Okay.
It does appear that the show stories are more aligned with my taste. And the novels have stopped. There's not been a novel in about a decade now.
Okay.
But the show, obviously, is continuing.
Yeah.
So I understand you're going to watch Original Sin, the new show.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am. I think it looks really good. I think
I'm optimistic.
It's my kind of show.
That they will have, just like the show feels like a much needed additional draft over what the novel was, in my opinion. I hope that whoever is making the show knows some of the stuff that would really kick this premise up to a better notch.
Yeah, totally.
In today's day and age, explore some of the stuff that we've been talking about here.
Yeah.
I would really love to see Harry really get sort of evaluated.
I mean, obviously Harry looks much more present. He's alive.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Right.
And also it's only based on the trailer that I saw and maybe another teaser, but I think they both had the same kind of tone. It looks like they're a little bit more fun and a little bit less
self-serious.
Yeah. So I think it looks good.
And then of course there's going to be another show.
Right.
Which is starring Michael C. Hall himself.
Yes.
Continuing Dexter's life rather than being a prequel. Dexter Resurrection.
Right. Because the deal is, and again, we're doing all spoilers, I didn't watch the sequel to the original Dexter show. Or I watched, I think, one episode of it or something.
Yeah.
There was the run of Dexter, the original show, which was 8 seasons. And then, however many years later, there was another show. I wrote it down. Oh, it's called Dexter New Blood. And at the end of that show, Dexter dies. Supposedly. I know it's supposedly. But anyway, Dexter dies. So, and then, they announced that there's going to be a show called Dexter Resurrection starring Michael C. Hall. So everybody's like, how the hell is that going to happen? But then the trailer for Dexter Original Sin, the one that's coming out this Friday, or today when you're listening to it, the trailer for it is Dexter of New Blood getting wheeled into an emergency room. And I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, they say that your life flashes before your eyes right before you die. I found that to be true.
It's turning out to me
right,
that it does happen.
So what it seems like is that he is going into surgery. The show Original Sin is him having this flashback on his life. Michael C. Hall is the internal voice in Original Sin. He's going to be voiceovering that show. And then, so what I assume, and this is not such it has to be this. I assume he's going to live after that surgery. And that's what Dexter Resurrection is going to be in 2025. It's got to be.
Yes. But I find it weird that both of those projects are happening seemingly concurrently.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a prequel series and a sequel series happening simultaneously.
Yes. I wonder. I have
Michael
no
C.
idea.
Hall is the grown-up Sheldon narrating young Sheldon in Dexter New Blood. But he's also going to play Big Daddy Sheldon for a sequel show.
It's like if young Sheldon and Sheldon were airing at the same time. Can you imagine?
I can't. But I can dream.
Me too.
It's it's you know what? It's almost like if Sheldon didn't die at the end of Big Bang Theory. If they reveal that Sheldon is still alive.
I wonder, I have no idea what this would be at all. I wonder if they are going to, if there's anything cool or interesting that they could do with the fact that they're going to be airing concurrently. I have no idea, but that is so weird.
It'd be like Buffy and Angel, right?
Yeah,
where it's like Dexter met a serial killer who got
Plus,
away.
Buffy is in Original Sin.
You're right.
Sarah Michelle Gellar's in Original Sin. Also, the cast of Original Sin is so good because
pretty good.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, Patrick Dempsey, Christian Slater. So it's like 90s dreamboats.
Yes.
And it's set, I guess, probably in the 90s. So
imagine the following. Mm-hmm. Dexter went up against a serial killer in Dexter Original Sin when he was young. They got away.
Yeah. Okay.
But then that same week, Dexter reunites with them decades later.
Love this. I would
in
love
Dexter
that.
Resurrection.
That kind of thing I would love.
See, that's like the kind of like fun stuff. If you're gonna do this,
yes,
right? I just think it's weird to have like shows with subtitles now, like they're movies. Dexter Original Sin, Dexter New Blood, Dexter Resurrection.
It's a lot.
Dexter X.
Yes.
You know?
I guess what are you gonna do?
I don't know.
They want to keep the name Dexter in there.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I guess this
then you have to.
proven to be a property that I wonder, is this one of those things where it's like in the streaming era, people loved watching Dexter, so now they're like, got to make as much Dexter stuff as possible.
No, that's exactly what it is. When it went to Netflix, it did humongous numbers. So that's literally exactly the reason this is happening.
You know, Netflix.
They've said that.
Netflix, you know what Dexter has for breakfast? Nut flakes. Because he's such a nut.
Actually, no, we know that that's not what he has for breakfast because the
intro it shows that he always makes. I assume that intro happens every morning.
He makes ham and eggs.
He always wakes up with a mosquito on his arm.
Yep.
He slaps it,
and then he smiles at it. He loves it.
Squeezes a blood
because
orange.
He loves blood so much that he even loves that the mosquito's getting some of his blood.
He loves that he murdered that mosquito.
Yeah.
Did you know that Dexter loved blood?
Yeah, he loves it. He was born in it.
He loved it.
Yeah.
He's so different.
Dexter's so weird.
Last thing, that intro where it's like you see somebody like pulling strings, like is it like choking somebody? Oh, it's him.
It was the first ASMR video.
Tying his shoes. No, it wasn't, because Mrs. Columbo did this decades ago.
Oh, really?
The much hated spinoff of Columbo opens with like a crime scene. There's garbage on the floor and like a knife on the ground. Then somebody comes in and starts cleaning up the crime scene. It's Detective Frank Columbo's wife who's picking up after her husband. He's so messy. And the show is still about her solving crimes. Mrs. Columbo did it first. Yeah, but she ate his lunch.
But was it done all like sensually?
Sure. Why not? Let's say yes.
Works for me.
Yeah, who cares?
Well, there you go. That was season 1 of Dexter. We hope you enjoyed that. I think that we're going to be back sometime in the future to talk about season 4.
Yeah, I can't imagine we're going to
Killer arc.
Do every season.
No.
I'm curious, is there anything beyond the Trinity Killer that is really of our interest?
No, I don't think so. There's that one season. I mean, there's the one season where what's his name? What's Tom Hanks' son's name? Not Chet.
Chet Hanks.
Not Chet.
Chet Hanks did the score for that whole season.
Thank you.
Colin Hanks.
Allie, Will's wife is here. Colin Hanks. Colin Hanks is a bad guy in one season, and it's bad. He
I was out by then.
So I don't remember what happens, but he goes, "Hello, whore." And it's supposed to be scary, but it's beyond not.
He's saying it to Dexter.
Rough.
Dexter's like, "What? Huh?"
It's terrible.
Just kills him. Kills him with one punch. All right, everybody.
An actor named like Edward Olmos Jr.?
No, you're close. You're almost there.
What is it?
Edward James Olmos.
Thank you. He's in a team with him.
You almost had it. All right.
Okay, there we go.
Enough, Dexter, because listen, there's going to be plenty more coming. Yeah. Not maybe to this show for a bit, but
in general,
in our lives and in front of our faces.
You don't need more Dexter is what we're saying.
Yeah, you got plenty.
So thank you so much. We really hope you enjoyed the show. If you liked it, please go to patreon.com/GTTUpod. You can find way more since we have that whole second weekly podcast. Leave us a review or give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. And you can also...
We got a breath.
Yeah. And
so you ran a marathon in the last 45 seconds. What happened to you?
I don't know.
Do good stuff. Good things will happen to you too, I'm sure.
That's right.
All right, everybody. We'll be back next week. I don't know what we're talking about yet. We'll figure it out. But until that time comes...
I do.
We must travel.
You already agreed to something.
I did? I'm having a hard time keeping up with things that I've said I would do.
Fine. That Lifetime TV movie, it's beginning to look a lot like Murder.
Oh, God. The mask is slipping. Until then, everybody.
Watch that.
Travel time.
Yes. Back to the Netherworld. Go away. Goodbye.
Thought you were going to say Hot Frosty.
Hot Frosty. Oh. I mean, I would like if you watch that in general.
Yeah, I'm all right. It's beginning to look a lot like Murder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Allie and I started listening to a Christmas thriller that you sent.
Oh, which one?
Which one, honey?
The crossword one.
The crossword one.
The one who sets the crossword.
Oh, good. Is it good?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Really cute.
Oh, excellent.
Crossword writer.
Like, Sherlock Holmes. Not Sherlock Holmes. What's his name? It's like Charles Dickens. Like
yeah.
Like Christmas Carol plus Murder.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Very modern.
It is also... They referenced... Yeah,
it's like the Eras Tour or something.
Oh.
And they referenced Facebook and Meta.
Oh, maybe I'll start that one.
But yeah, it's a crossword writer. She's an older woman and she gets Doesn't she like a puzzle arrives at her doorstep? It's very Ice Truck Killery. It's very
the Christmas jigsaw
puzzle.
Yes, the Christmas jigsaw.
Yes,
yeah. Awesome.
Very fun. It's Tobin Bell, on a Christmas adventure, and he falls in love.
Yeah, we don't know who the murderer is yet. So
yeah, that one just came out this year.
But we finally get to see Jigsaw kiss someone. At least in my imagination. It's an audiobook, so
yeah,
that'll just be in my mind.
That's just for you.